Meet David. He and his family wanted to move to Europe.
Between Italy, France, Portugal, or Greece, Portugal was the most accessible.
But challenges and stress hit right away.
The life here in Portugal for us, moving from the US, it's not worse, but it's very different than we thought.
From everything being new.
We have lived here for 1 year and it feels like 5. The experiences, everything is new.
To the language making experiences difficult.
Like, for example, if we would go to the grocery store, we really want to order fresh bread. You say, "Fala inglés?" And they say, "No." Do you continue the conversation or do you translate it? Or do you just skip getting bread?
Yeah.
We usually just skip getting bread.
Okay, so the stress of that.
And the challenges just continued.
You see the palm trees and the beautiful beaches. Portugal does get cold. And as much as I love the cold, I don't love always being cold. A lot of the buildings around here are not insulated.
Then Portugal changed things.
And then Portugal said 10 years
Yeah.
for citizenship instead of 5. And we had to really reconsider.
After considering their options, David and his family ultimately have decided to leave Portugal. But there's more to the story.
We were like, okay, well, that kind of fits our daughter going to school, so we'll just tough it out.
But in actuality, that's not what happened. So then what happened? Why are you leaving?
So,
Well, David, you've moved to Portugal, but you're actually getting ready to leave. But Portugal wasn't your first choice anyway, so let's unpack this. How did you end up in Portugal?
so my wife and I, we were planning on moving to Europe. We really, really, really wanted to experience life traveling, easy access to like the history, and the biggest thing was quality of life. We wanted to get away from like a lot of the foods in the US and just get out. We were going to go to Norway. We needed a reason to be there, like a critical skill, a student visa, or ancestral ties. We couldn't get it. So
Why Norway, though?
my ancestors are from there.
Okay.
So like it was like super, super beautiful, and we wanted to reconnect, all those things. And when we went there, we never wanted to leave. So it was just more, not necessarily romanticized, but it just was an awesome place to be for us.
But you couldn't figure out the visa.
No, we tried for 3 years.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, we tried for 3 years and we couldn't make it happen. And it was like in January of 2024, so just last year. And my wife said, "It's not going to happen this year. Let's go to Portugal." I said, "Where's that?"
And why did she say Portugal?
Because we qualified for the D7 visa, the
Okay.
passive income. And it was like between Italy, France, Portugal, or Greece. Portugal was the most accessible, the lowest cost of living. And the biggest thing was the fastest at the time, the time frames for everything. Italy was like 3 or 4 years out. Portugal, we were like, let's just do it. And we started the process in January. I think by June, we had most of our paperwork done, ready to go. I flew out, signed a rental agreement. I think 2 months later, we were here.
Did you do everything on your own or you used a lawyer?
We did it all ourselves. I don't know how my wife did it, but she got an appointment through VFS online. We went to the New York office because we were living in Michigan at the time. A couple months later, we were here.
All right. So she said, let's go to Portugal. You said, where's that? So how come you were on board with it? Because it made sense or?
It was exciting. It was Europe. And also, we were still committed to go to Norway. So we had planned on moving to Portugal. We'd be here for 5 years, get our citizenship to the European Union. And at that point, because we were members of the European Union, we could just walk into Norway. Tell the police we're there, stay as long as we want.
Yeah.
So the plan was still Norway. And then Portugal said 10 years
Yeah.
for citizenship instead of 5. And we had to really reconsider.
Okay. So at the time when all of this was being talked about, potentially changing from 5 to 10 years, that's what shifted your mindset on now what should we do? Because you didn't want to be here 10 years.
Do we want to stay?
Okay. Yeah.
The language it's beautiful. It's not necessarily challenging. I could put more time in and I think it'd be pretty good. But it was, do we want to stay here for a lot longer? The life here in Portugal for us, moving from the US, it's not worse, but it's very different than we thought.
So we'll get to that and we'll get to where you're moving because you are leaving. But let's talk about how you chose where you actually live. So tell us where you live in Portugal.
So we live in Sintra, just on the other side of the mountain from the beautiful downtown area. The old town is what they call it. We looked at Porto. We looked at Braga. We didn't look too much around Lisbon. We didn't really want to live in a busy area. But we 100% chose where we live based on the international school for our daughter.
That makes
So
sense.
yeah, we reached out to a place in Braga. They never got back to us. We reached out to a place in Porto. They were full. And then there was another place here in Sintra that was also full. But the one that we ended up with, they got back to us really fast. And they walked us through the process. We looked at the houses. They're beautiful. and everything just aligned.
Okay, so she actually got into the school before you signed the lease?
Yep.
And then, so once you got into the school, you said, I'm going to go over and I'm going to find the house, or you had kind of already found the house before you just came here to sign the lease?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I had a few places lined up.
Okay.
I used Idealista, and then I messaged all the realtors, scheduled meetings, and I literally stepped off the plane and just went from place to place to place. And when we found this one, we knew it was the one.
Okay. And so you signed, then you said, we'll take this.
Yeah.
But a lot of people, I think, when they move from the U.S., they want to be in a city where they can use public transportation. They don't want to have the car, but that wasn't the case for you. Did you want to not have a car and it just didn't work out, or?
That was the other thing, was some of the places we looked at, they were beautiful, like over the beach or really, really nice areas. But this place that we found was like, it's like a 5-minute walk from the school. And there was a supermarket. So anything that we needed, we didn't need a car.
Yeah.
We could walk. And that was the plan. Like, let's just, Ubers are really cheap. We could just walk to everything that we need. And we even got bikes. Growing up, we always had cars. I grew up in the country. My wife grew up in the country. Well, not the country, but the suburbs. You drive everywhere. Uber wasn't our favorite. Walking wasn't too bad, but we got bikes thinking sidewalks and riding around isn't too bad. And like literally 3 days after we got the bikes and we were riding down the sidewalk, my wife hit the curb and she flipped.
Oh, no.
She loves riding bikes. And the cobblestone and the super skinny sidewalks, especially in this area, are not made for bikes.
For bikes. So it was probably just a bit uneven where the wheel caught it.
It caught.
And then, was she okay?
So then we had to go to the hospital because we thought her knee was in really bad shape, and now let's get a car.
All right, so because of the accident, and it didn't seem to make sense. Like in your minds, it made sense, and then you thought it would work, but once you actually got here, reality was that it wasn't going to work.
Yeah.
So then you ended up getting a car because of that.
Yeah, and also, like with all the beautiful things in the area, we wanted to explore at our own pace. We wanted to drive and stay as long as we wanted to. Parking was another issue that we had to face next. Parking is also not the same as the US. Like there's not just parking lots. You have to find the right places. Don't get stuck in parking garages, and because you need cash instead of car, all the things. But having a car just made a lot more sense to us than, because it was what we were used to. That's why we got a car.
Was getting the car hard?
Not for us. If we would have had to finance the car, I think that we would have ran into some more issues just because it was just something else. We had set funds aside for it, and we sent them the money. The exchange rate, because we were paying with US dollars to euros, that was a little complicated. Like when we sent them the money, they had to, I think, send us money back because we sent too much because the exchange rate changed. Another thing that we had to learn. Yeah. But it was pretty straightforward.
And then insurance, is it affordable for car insurance?
Yeah, super affordable. Probably twice as cheap as the US from what we were used to. We got insurance just through the people we bought the car from. They're super, super nice.
And how about gas, price-wise, compared to the US?
Gas is really expensive.
Okay.
Like we got a hybrid. A lot of the trips are short trips, and it's really easy to charge. We don't use too much gas. But when we do have to get gas, it's really expensive.
Okay. So going hybrid or even an EV might be a best option for someone?
Yes and no. I've found that electric vehicles around here, especially on the highways, it just drains the battery. So if you're going more than, we'll say, 50 kilometers a day, I would stay away from electric vehicle. Well, it depends on hybrid. Okay. Full electric, no problem.
Okay.
There's fast charging stations in a lot of places. If you get just an petrol, if you go just gas, be ready to spend a lot more money than you're used to.
Okay. Now, on a day-to-day basis, do you still walk and sometimes ride the bike, or like how often do you use the car?
Just to the gym and back, but everything else we walk. Like we can walk to the supermarket, we walk to the school. There's a few restaurants nearby. So accessibility-wise, walking is no problem.
Did you sell the bikes?
We have them. We just haven't used them. We found a really good spot for them.
Okay. Okay. And then you also brought pets. So how was that process? And did you do all that on your own?
We did that on our own as well. ChatGPT was like super helpful in like, hey, what do we need to do? But my wife and daughter came over first because I was still working in the US. Okay. So they came over first so that she could start school. And when she came over, she brought our French Bulldog. And we had all the paperwork. We just called. I think it was like 2 weeks ahead. You send an email to the Lisbon airport. We have pets coming. But we show up to the airport and they say you have pets. Bring it to the vet right by the baggage claim, and they sign it off. I showed up about a month later with our cat, and it was the same thing. But I didn't tell the vet that I was coming with the cat thinking that it would be no big deal, and she was not happy.
Okay, so you just showed up and she didn't have it logged that you would be showing up.
She said, are we expecting you? I said no, and she was kind. She said, I'll do it anyway, but you need to tell us when you have an animal coming. And luckily, I had all the paperwork.
Okay.
We just did the French Bulldog.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was super straightforward. The shots, and then when we got here, we got on pet passports from the vet. Really easy.
Now, did you have a problem getting a flight with your dog because of the short snout? Sometimes there's airlines that won't allow.
My wife, she registered it as a service animal.
Okay.
With her. She fit the criteria for that, and that wasn't a problem. But yes, it would have been an issue. And also, our French Bulldog is like just above the weight.
Okay.
So she would have had to go, I think it's like 20 pounds, 10 kilos. But our cat was really easy.
Cat's
They fit under
easier.
the seat,
Yeah. But then the dog also came in the cabin because of the service animal.
Yeah.
Okay.
The hardest part for us was finding the airline that would allow the pets in the cabin, even though they fit, because it's an international flight. A lot of domestic flights in the U.S. where you're allowed to bring your pets, international is a different story.
Yeah.
But we flew TAP.
So just making sure that you do the paperwork right, you notify them that you're coming, but
Yeah.
it's pretty straightforward. And the USDA website has the information too, so everything you need to do. Okay, so earlier you said that things were just different here. So what were some other things that are just different compared to the U.S.?
So the part of the U.S. that I grew up in the north, it's like super cold. I love the cold. Portugal, you see the palm trees and the beautiful beaches. Portugal does get cold. And as much as I love the cold, I don't love always being cold. A lot of the buildings around here are not insulated. So if you don't have a fireplace or a way to heat up your home, you're going to be cold.
Yeah.
We saw a picture shortly after we got here. It's like the Portugal starter kit. And it was like a robe, slippers, a hot water bottle. We didn't have that. We do now.
Yeah.
We do now. But that was a big shock. It's just, I don't know if it's the humidity or what, but it's a different kind of cold. Like I said earlier, parking was a huge thing. I still get nervous about parking. Going to the restaurant or the grocery store with all the ingredients being in Portuguese, that's also big, but that's to be expected. For the most part, we were just kind of ready for it to be brand new. We weren't expecting everything in the area to be as old as it is, but Portugal is a very old country. So that's just how it is.
So would you say coming in with zero expectations and maybe some optimism is the best way to adjust?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, we watched a million YouTube videos of like the areas, drones, flying, all the things, read a lot about it, looked at pictures probably every day until we got here. But even still, yes, we having zero expectations was the only way to do it. And I think it really helped us.
Now, are you happy with the move even though it was Portugal and not Norway? Like, how did that end up making you feel?
We just saw it as a means to an end. 5 years, we can do it, no problem. And take it all in because Sintra is absolutely beautiful. Portugal has so much to offer. In this area where we are, you could go from the forest to what feels kind of like the desert to the beach to the city, and it feels like a bunch of different places, but it's all one. So that's a nice change of pace depending on what you want. The malls are really nice. In terms of it not being Norway is very different than here.
Yeah.
Portugal to us is very different than a lot of European countries, which was nice because we get to experience a different type of Europe. In terms of being disappointed or did we make the right choice, I think that it was just, we'll treat it as a vacation, something different. And then when we're all done here, either we stay because we love it or we move on.
Yeah, that's actually a really nice place to be because you're like, okay, 5 years, we can definitely do 5 years, but maybe we'll love it and we'll want to stay, but we can do 5 years and we can really embrace it. Not just live in a little bubble, but embrace those 5 years being in Portugal and then go from there.
Exactly.
Yeah, that's really nice. So it's not, some people might be like, oh, you're using it as a stepping stone. And while it kind of was maybe like that, but you were also open to it not being like that. So just kind of adventure and something different.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, and the other thing too is with the school that we got our daughter into, she loves it, and she made good friends. And we didn't want to move our daughter around too much more, especially considering the relationships you're gonna have and the people you're gonna meet, and just being in a stable place for a long time. And then they changed the citizenship to 10 years, or they're in the process of, and we're like, okay, well that kind of fits our daughter going to school, so we'll just tough it out.
Okay. So you had considered staying because it made sense for your daughter for 10 years. So you're like, okay, 10 years. But in actuality, that's not what happened. So then what happened? Why are you leaving?
So my friend applied, a guy that I used to control aircraft with in the US, he applied to work in Australia. And he was telling me he was really excited about it. I said, I'll send him my resume, see what they say. And they called me in 4 days. And they said, hey, just verify all this is correct. I said, yes. I said, we'll be in touch. And they called me like a week later, and they gave me an offer that I couldn't refuse.
Wow.
So they are going to sponsor our visas instead of us having to do all the work. That will lead us to citizenship in about 4 years. It's a paid move. It's like everything that we did to get here on our own, Australia is doing for us to get there. And I'm really excited to control again.
Okay. Well, how do you feel that it's not Europe, though? Because initially it was like Europe was the place you want to be, and now Australia is very different.
Very different and very far away. So we are a little sad because, like I said, like Norway and a lot of Scandinavia was super appealing to us. And now we're probably going to the farthest place from it.
Yeah.
Like on the other side. And also, we've been here for a year. And we just recently got our residence cards. One of the things that we were really looking forward to living in Portugal was how close we were to Paris and Rome and Germany and all these beautiful countries that we didn't get to go to because we were waiting for our visa. And now, in about 6 months, when we're going to be living in Australia, we're going to be so far away from everything we move close to travel to. At the same time, it's Australia, and we'll have access to another part of the world.
Yeah, very true. And Australia's quite big, so there's a lot to explore just in that country, but then you have all the islands around and everything, and parts of Southeast Asia too. That's not too far. So then are you going to try to fit as much in? Like now you have your cards, are you going to try to travel a lot, or does that seem too like overwhelming?
We're going to do it.
You're going to do it?
We're
okay.
going to do
well,
it.
That's good. Okay.
We're planning a trip to Paris for Paris Disneyland for Christmas. When we get back, I think in April, we're going to try to go up to the UK, and then we'd like to get a train ride all the way through the European countries, Switzerland, Austria, and maybe that will check that box.
So is your daughter not going to go to school?
How's
that going to happen?
So we're going to get her through school, and then on the big break, spring break, well, she's got the winter break and then spring break. That'll be the travel times.
Okay.
And then so we'll just cram it all in and then fly out.
Yeah, that seems to make sense.
Yeah.
Well, emotionally, you had thought about living in Portugal for at least 5 years, and then it changed to maybe 10 years, and now you're a year in and you're leaving. So how does that make you feel, and how about your daughter?
It's a combination of relief and also excitement because, like I said, it's Australia. It's something new. Like when we were planning on moving to Norway for 3 years, there was so many highs. Like it's going to happen, it's going to happen, it's going to happen, and then it didn't. And then Portugal, we're worried about the same thing. Is it real? Are we actually going to make it to Europe? Are we ever going to make it to Norway? And we finally did. And when we got here, we were so scared of everything because we didn't speak Portuguese. We felt bad for not speaking Portuguese. We didn't really know the area. We didn't know, what's acceptable, what's not. Am I buying the right thing? Am I asking the right questions? When we were here around Christmas time last year, I feel like we just didn't want to go anywhere. We didn't want to do anything because we didn't know the area. We didn't have a car. We didn't know what to do. My wife and I, we always joke and we say, can you believe that we were scared of this? Can you believe that we were afraid to go to the mall? Because it's really nothing else. It's really simple. It's Portuguese people are so nice, especially when you ask them for help. So in terms of the things that we were afraid of, moving to Australia is going to be different because there's not a language barrier.
Yeah.
Coming from the US to a country where they speak a different language versus going to another English-speaking country is a completely different story. So as much as of a relief is it going to be finally we can just ask somebody a normal question for what's comfortable for us versus, for example, if we would go to the grocery store, we really want to order fresh bread. You say, "Fala inglés?" And they say, "No." Do you continue the conversation or do you translate it? Or do you just skip getting bread?
Yeah.
We usually just skip getting bread.
Okay, so the stress of that. Yeah, but you won't have that moving to Australia.
No, so that's really exciting too. When we first moved here, for me, parking, I bring it up again because parking was literally the first day that I got here was my wife's birthday. And we went into a parking lot area by a train station. We went and had the birthday dinner, and as we were driving out, you take the ticket out to scan it, and there's nothing. And I was confused, and the guy in the voice box starts speaking Portuguese, and I tell him, how do I pay?
Yeah.
And he says, you need to pay at the booth. Park the car, go to pay at the booth, they only take cash.
Oh.
So I went back to the car and we didn't have cash. We didn't even have our card set up for Portugal, our bank card. So I went and tried to use the ATM machine. The ATM ate the card. It took it.
Oh no.
So now I don't have a credit card and I don't have cash.
And the car is stuck in the garage.
And we're stuck in the car. Yeah, it's dark outside. It's my wife's birthday. So I called the guy in the box again. He says, you need cash. I said, I don't have cash. He says, if you don't have cash, we can't help you. And he hung up.
Oh no.
So we parked the car.
Yeah.
And we waited for somebody to leave. And I got really close to him. The gate came down and we snuck out behind him.
Okay.
We went back the next day and we paid 26 euros for overnight parking when we weren't even there.
Yeah.
But that was the introduction to parking. Ever since then, I've been super nervous about parking anywhere.
Yeah.
Because it's just not that simple. It's not a parking lot. So I don't know if that's a culture shock. To me, it was. And again, moving to a big city in Australia, I guess we'll face that. Portugal leveled me up for that. But yeah, I think the excitement outweighs the things that we're not looking forward to. So we're leaving some things behind, but we're gaining a lot by moving.
And you can't let fear of things alter your plans, right? It's the same thing with like you didn't know anything about Portugal and you're like, well, just go. But some people might be like, I'm scared to do that because I don't know the language, I don't know how it works. But then if you're just kind of paralyzed, you don't do anything if you don't take action. So just taking action and seeing how it's going and being optimistic about the outcome. And generally, it works out.
It super works out. And like, I think what you said, like, is not being afraid of anything. Like, I mean, and that has been the most rewarding thing about living in Portugal, in my opinion, because living here, I feel like I can live anywhere. Like really, like it doesn't matter the language. I feel like there's almost not a language barrier. We all do the same things and we experience the same things. And it really is not difficult to be anywhere.
Well, then I think that leads me into my final question, which is at Expats Everywhere, we believe that living abroad transforms life. So how has living abroad transformed your life?
It doesn't feel like we are living in a new country. It feels like we are living on another planet. It is so different from anything that we knew. And my wife and I were just talking last night. We have lived here for 1 year and it feels like 5. The experiences, everything is new. Even the same things that you do. Like I said, going to the grocery store, going for a walk, talking to people out in places. We have met people from all parts of the planet. We have eaten at restaurants that we didn't even know existed. Like everything about it has been absolutely amazing. If I could live somewhere new every couple of years, that would be really cool. Being here for a week or two for a vacation is one thing. Living here after a few months, the honeymoon phase and all that changes everything. And for the better. I think it's fantastic.
Well, thank you, David. And if you would like to see a different perspective, a different interview, then click this video right here and don't forget to subscribe. Now let's get moving.